remember someone from our high school years that stood out. For me, Bridgid Weber was one of those people. Pretty, smart, and likable, Bridgid always left an impression. It was no surprise when I reconnected with her last year and learned that her love of performing, theater, and people has continued. But while Bridgid appeared to be an extrovert in the highest sense, a big part of her has still been hidden. I feel honored she has taken an opportunity to publicly share her life with alopecia here tonight. My pleasure, Bridgid Weber.
Good evening. I'm honored and I'm very humbled that I was asked to talk to all of you tonight. And part of the reason that it's humbling for me to be here with this amazing group of women is I'm not going to talk to you about anything special that I've done or that I've accomplished. Tonight I was asked to share with you about my life with alopecia. Alopecia is spelled A-L-O-P-E-C-I-A, and it is just a fancy medical term for hair loss. And when I met with Angela this past weekend to discuss what I was going to be sharing with you tonight, she suggested that first I should share a little bit about my life outside of alopecia. I'm a lifelong resident of Cincinnati, and I was very fortunate to attend my freshman year of high school right here at Macaulay before transferring to North College Hill and graduating in the class of 1983. My sister Tricia is here with me tonight, and she is a Macaulay class of 81 alum. And I'm going to wave at her and embarrass her. My husband Jeff and I live in Coleraine Township. We've been married for close to 3 years, and we're very active in our church, City Gate Church in Mason. And my walk with God is my most important thing in my life. And if that's not right, nothing else is right. I have 2 adult children, Allison and Aaron, who are ages 28 and 26, and I'm very proud of them. And I've enjoyed a 25-year-long career as a registered nurse, working primarily in long-term care. And believe me, I could tell you some stories about that, but that would be a whole separate talk. I'm very passionate about improving quality of life for people in nursing homes, and my current job involves overseeing a group of facilities in the area and helping to ensure that the residents get the care that they deserve. An important hobby of mine is community theater, and my favorite role recently was playing the part of Lucy in A Charlie Brown Christmas. My proudest theater moment, though, was when I wrote a play that takes place in an Alzheimer's unit, and my theater group produced the show. I also love cooking, entertaining, singing, and spending time with my family. So that's me in a nutshell. But now I want to tell you about me and alopecia. Now, maybe you don't have alopecia, and maybe you don't even know anyone with severe hair loss, and that's okay. But you might just have something about yourself that makes you feel vulnerable, something that makes you feel different, something that makes you want to hide. And I'll bet if you do, my story may not be that different from your own. There are a lot of misconceptions about alopecia, and hopefully I can clear some of those up tonight. There are several types, and I'm going to touch briefly on the most common ones. Some people experience temporary alopecia due to stress or illness or medication, but then their hair grows back. And some people have what is known as alopecia areata, and this is an autoimmune disorder where the hair comes out in patches and it grows back in again, and then new patches of hair fall out in a very heartbreaking and unpredictable fashion. I know a 14-year-old girl who was diagnosed with this condition last year, and I can't even imagine facing every day of high school wearing a wig. Some people have what's called alopecia totalis, in which they lose every hair on their head, and it's often a permanent hair loss. Earlier this year, I met a woman, and she lost all her hair when she was only 10 years old, and it never grew back, and she's 56 now. Another type is called alopecia universalis. In this rarest form of alopecia, people lose all the hair on their body. I know a beautiful woman in her 40s, and she lost all her hair, including her eyebrows, and her eyelashes when she was only 16, and her hair loss has been permanent. I personally have been living with alopecia for close to 20 years now. And the type of alopecia I have is the most common type. It's known as androgenic alopecia, or male-female pattern baldness. It starts with just a little bit of thinning on the top of the head, but it can progress to total baldness on the top of the scalp. I'm now 50 years old. When I was 30, a family member jokingly pointed out that it looked like I was going bald. And I was horrified to see that it was no joke. I was losing my hair at age 30, and I had no idea why. When I was in my 20s, I had joined a church that taught that women should have long hair. And back then, my hair was thick and beautiful, and it grew all the way to my waist. And when I left that church, a well-intentioned friend actually suggested to me that perhaps my hair loss was somehow God's judgment against me because I had cut my hair shorter. Yeah. The doctors assured me there was nothing medically wrong that was causing my hair to fall out. They did blood tests, they did scalp analysis. I was referred to dermatologists and endocrinologists over the years, and every time the final diagnosis was androgenic alopecia, simple male-female pattern baldness. There's no true cure, and there's no way to remedy or reverse it. And please don't stop me after the talk and tell me about some magic remedy that you've heard about, because I've probably already tried it. I'm trying now to move to a place of acceptance. I've used Rogaine, hair vitamins, prescription medications, protein shakes, and a variety of concealers, just to name a few. I've spent literally thousands and thousands of dollars trying to get my hair to grow back. Now, to the uninitiated, a concealer is simply a cream, powder, or spray that matches your hair color, and you apply it to your scalp to minimize your show-through of your scalp. So if you cover the show-through, the idea is that your hair won't look so thin. You might have seen some infomercials for these type of products. And as my hair loss on the top of my scalp became more diffuse, I began to have to use a spray every day. It was very messy, and it developed buildup over time on our bathroom walls and in our bathtub. I had to sleep with a dark pillowcase so it wouldn't stain the pillows. And when I traveled, I always had to bring a pillowcase with me. Now, you might be wondering why I didn't just wash the spray out at night, but that would have involved letting my family see what I actually looked like. I felt very betrayed and totally alone because some of the people that were closest to me during this time suggested on more than one occasion that this was all my fault. If I only ate healthier, or prayed more, or handled my stress better, or whatever, maybe then my hair would have fallen out. The spray worked for many years at concealing my hair loss, and I've had many people tell me they had no idea. But alopecia changed my life. It became my deep, dark, embarrassing secret. I had to be very careful to stay out of situations where it was hot because the concealer would run down my face. And I ended up avoiding many things that I loved. Swimming, hot tubs, saunas, simply being outside on a warm summer day, just being with my family and friends outside. I avoided strenuous exercise because if I sweated too much, it would make the concealer run, and then people might find out about how much hair I had lost. When I would wash my hair, before I put the fresh concealing spray, I could see that my hair seemed to get thinner and thinner as the years went by. And the doctors had told me that one day I might get to the point where I was totally bald on the top of my head. And that is the most severe form of androgenic alopecia. And I was scared to even think about that. Probably the most extreme thing that I ever did to try to conceal my hair loss was to have my scalp tattooed to conceal the show-through. It seems pretty crazy to tell you about it now, but it seemed like a good idea at the time. I would be able to hide my hair loss, and I wouldn't have to deal with all the hassles and the worries involved with the spray. This was one of the most painful, physically painful experiences of my life, including childbirth, and it didn't even work. For some reason, the scalp tattoo didn't take, and to this day, I still have a few stray tattoo markings on the top of my scalp as a reminder of the lengths that I was willing to go to in order to hide my hair loss. As I got older, my hair loss became so severe that even the spray wouldn't cover it. So I graduated to topper hair pieces that I glued to my scalp. And these are similar to the toupees that some men wear, and they've become the topic of many jokes and visual gags in TV and movies. But I developed skin issues from the various bonding agents. So then I tried using tape to attach my hairpiece, but it wasn't strong enough. And I had some real close calls where the tape became loose and I almost lost all my hair right in the middle of the workday. So then I tried clip-on hairpieces, but discovered I didn't have enough hair left to anchor the piece in order for the hairpiece to stay put. The worst had come to pass. I was totally bald on top, like a cue ball with thin wispy hair remaining on the back and the sides of my head. I thought I looked pretty goofy. I wish I had brought a big picture to show you, but I figure most of you know who Dr. Phil is, right? Think about his hairstyle. That's how I looked. You know, it looks fine on him, but it wasn't a good look for me, not at all. And even though I told my husband Jeff on our first date that I was wearing a hairpiece, I had never let him see me without it until just a few months ago. And for the most part, until this spring, I kept my hair loss a secret from nearly everyone I knew. And only the people closest to me knew that I wore a hairpiece, but even then, they never saw me without it. The hairpiece kept me from doing things I loved as well. I avoided roller coasters, being outside on windy days, and I had to avoid the heat because that would cause the adhesive or the tape that I had used to attach the piece to come loose, and God forbid that it would fall off, because then everyone would know my secret, so that couldn't happen. In the spring of this year, I came to the painful realization that the hair pieces just weren't working anymore. I had simply lost too much hair. So I made the difficult decision to shave off what was left of my hair and to progress to wearing full wigs. I was told by the lady that I mentioned at the beginning of my talk, the one who lost all her hair when she was 10, that it would make me easier to wear certain styles of wigs if I didn't have these wispy hairs on the back and the sides in the way. There wasn't much to shave. It actually fit into this small baggie. And I'm sorry if this seems a little creepy, but I still hold on to this baggie of hair because it's a symbol of freedom for me. It reminds me of the day that I stopped letting fear and shame rule my life, and the day that I decided I was going to stop hiding my alopecia. I have spent a lot of emotional energy worrying about what might happen if people found out my secret. And I've asked myself why I felt the need to hide. Maybe it was because in our culture, long, thick hair is a symbol of femininity. It's associated with good health, vitality. I mean, be honest, if you see a bald woman in public, don't you assume that she's sick, she's going through chemotherapy? Well, then I thought about it this way. What if I had lost my hair to chemo? Would I be ashamed? No. But I realized this is really no different. My hair loss is totally out of my control. People get on social media, they talk about their medical conditions, they take pictures of their broken legs, they pour out their hearts about various illnesses. So why don't we talk about women's hair loss? Why has it become such a source of shame and embarrassment? And today, I'm saying enough. I'm not hiding anymore. I don't know what the purpose is for my hair loss. Maybe it is to talk about it, to try in some small way to get rid of the stigma. And you might be sitting here tonight thinking, what's the big deal? It's just hair. But for me, it felt like a part of me was gone and was never coming back. I mourned the loss of my hair. And when I could no longer hide behind my concealer spray and my hair picked to pieces, I had to face this stranger in the mirror. And at first, all I could do was sob. But now I'm starting to like her. And my wonderfully supportive husband has embraced her with open arms, always assuring me I'm still the woman that he fell in love with, regardless of what, if anything, I have on my head. Hollywood and Madison Avenue have set a very narrow standard of what is beautiful. And I'm learning that we don't lose our potential to be beautiful simply because we don't fit those constraints. I frequently wear wigs, not because I'm ashamed of my bald head, but because when I go out into the world, I want to take the focus off of me. And believe me, when you go out in Cincinnati as a bald female, people notice. I've also come to think of my wigs and my hats and even my beautiful bald head as a variety of wardrobe options. And I like to dress for the occasion. And for me, what I choose to put on my head is simply part of that daily decision. And what I choose to put on my head doesn't make me beautiful any more than a dress or a garment can make me beautiful. So what makes me or any woman beautiful? I don't know, maybe my smile, my eyes. I think most of all my countenance when I get the focus off of me and off of my alopecia, and I start drinking in all the beauty in the world around me. And when I can look others in the eyes with confidence, unapologetic, and not worrying about what is or isn't on my head. I struggled for a long time with the Bible verse in 1 Corinthians 11:15, which says that a woman's long hair is her glory. It reads, "But if a woman has long hair, it is a glory to her." So where did that leave me? Had God somehow forsaken me because I didn't have any hair? Why had my crowning glory been stripped away? But then I was reminded that the verse says that the long hair is her glory, not God's glory. My pastor, Eric Petrie, preached a message on May 6, 2015, about the blind man in the 9th chapter of the book of John. Jesus ultimately healed that blind man. But first, the man had to endure the judgment of religious people, suggesting that he was this way because either he had sinned or his parents had sinned, that he had done something to deserve this. But it wasn't anyone's fault. Jesus told them that God had made the man this way so that his glory could be manifested in him. And then my pastor said the words that have changed my life. He said, God made you the way you are so that he could display his glory through you. And my pastor wasn't talking about hair loss. In fact, at the time, I don't think he even knew about my hair loss. But I wept because I felt God speaking directly to me and telling me that none of this was my fault, that he has a purpose for my alopecia, and that he loves me whether or not I have hair. I used to pray and beg for God to grow my hair back. But now I just pray for him to use me however, wherever he wants. We're all bald in one way or another. I'll bet everybody in this room has something about yourself that you wish you could change. But my prayer as we conclude tonight for you is that you would be able to see yourself the way that God sees you. That you would know without a shadow of a doubt that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And you don't have to be anything but what he wants you to be.